Hands to Hearts International envisions a world where all children are nurtured and loved, and where all women have the opportunity to actively contribute to their communities.
Work in some orphanages, but primarily work in communities, working with village parents, rural communities, areas where people have just been released from refugee camps, post-conflict areas, disaster zones.
Hands to Hearts works in some of the world's most challenging environments, where simple education can mean the difference between life and death. Hands to Hearts training is simple, low-tech, and cost-effective. By empowering the local women, the everyday caregivers, untapped and vital community resources are unleashed. By targeting children's earliest years, birth to age 5, simple interventions reap the greatest rewards for the child and society. Caregivers improve their ability to nurture a child's language, social, cognitive, and physical development. They also can improve their nutrition and overall health, all while building attachment and bonding, which establishes the base for all future relationships.
Because of what Hands to Hearts has done to us is so great. It's more than somebody who come and pays you with the real cash, because this knowledge stays forever within us. So I'm so grateful.
Early child development, what I learned, that is love.
I now have to handle them, make friendship with them.
Hands to Hearts applies local knowledge, using their songs, stories, games, and dance. Women begin to apply their new knowledge immediately, and they see results just as quickly. This leads to increased self-esteem, confidence, enthusiasm, and they take even more action.
It is simple things in life. At a family level, they can make a whole difference.
Most of our trainees go on to train others in their own communities.
I've never seen an intervention that you train mothers and without any impetus from the project, the women spread it on their own. So they're obviously excited about this, they see the need for it, and want to go and spread the word themselves.
My training on early childhood development that was conducted by Hands to Hearts International, I now take more care on listening what my child is saying, because there's a lot of things being communicated.
By contributing to Hands to Hearts, you don't just support a single child in a single community. You help break the cycle of intergenerational poverty, illness, and suffering. Your support ensures that caregivers and parents learn how to provide for their children with a solid foundation of love, nurturing, nutrition, and early learning. Hi. Good evening. So you just saw what my day job is. And tonight I want to tell you how and why it all began. And take you back a little bit in time and tell you about the impact we've had for over 200,000 people now and counting. And also the opportunity that's now in front of us to change the life course, to better the life course for up to 50,000 young children. Let me take you back a little bit, though, first. For 10 years, I worked in the children's mental health system here in the US. And the most frustrating and upsetting part of that was that I witnessed children cycling through the system again and again. This was epitomized by a young boy named Matty. Matty had been grossly neglected. He had almost every adverse childhood experience that was previously described. And now in our foster care program, he was not thriving. In fact, he violently attacked his 2-year-old foster sister and gave her injuries to send her to the hospital. And with that, Matty failed out of his 3rd foster home. He failed out of his 2nd adoption attempt, and he was admitted to his first locked psychiatric unit. Matty was 5, and we were already too late. His life trajectory was fairly well set, but mine was about to take a rapid turn, because that wasn't okay in my world. I made a life commitment that I was going to reach as many of these vulnerable children at the earliest stage with the simplest, most cost-effective form of prevention I could imagine. And that led me to found Hands to Hearts International. And it's been quite a ride. I dove headfirst into early childhood development. Because I learned some of what was talked about earlier tonight is that by age 3, 85% of brain development has already happened. And our early life experiences are literally built into our brain's architecture, into our very biology. So to have a childhood with neglect and violence, cruelty, drug abuse, all of these things changes the path for the worse. But to build a whole child, a healthy child, love is required. So to have a caregiver, that is nurturing, consistent, responsive, that can buffer a child against almost any hardship. And so I said about building this, because the impacts for those children don't just impact that child, that impacts an entire community. So in 2006, I took Hands to Hearts to work in orphanages in southern India. We trained the caregivers about early childhood development, how their interactions on a daily basis can improve language, cognitive, physical, social, emotional development. We also really taught them about love and nurturing and the difference that made. And the women were really excited about this. They found there were things that they could be doing every day, and they found that they were really important. So they started doing things like picking up the babies when they cry, holding them, singing to them, being much more nurturing. And they did simple things, like they washed their hands and they kept things cleaner. 5 months later, I returned to some of those orphanages, and I thought, like, anything happen? And at 2 of them, I was told, no babies have died since the training. I didn't even know that was a measure. That in the most dire of circumstances, that actually made the difference between life and death. My mind was blown. And what started happening was there were parents out in the villages saying, like, I don't have this information. I want to learn this. So do we have parents? Are there your parents? Raise your hand. Aunts, uncles, raise your hands. Yeah. So we all have babies that we love, and this is universal. We want the very best for them. But none of the little buggers come with instruction manuals. And I tease some of my friends. I'm like, you are some of the most highly educated and competent people on this planet. And you had a baby, and you can barely take care of that baby and get in the shower in the same day. And that's a fact. Now imagine working in an area where there's profound poverty, no electricity, and food and water is a daily struggle. Let me tell you about a mother in rural India. Her name is Meena, and she has a 1-year-old daughter. And she's working in the fields every day, and so when she comes home, she's too tired, she's too exhausted to play with her baby. And she thinks that's what rich people do. Rich people can play with their babies. She had other things to do. But the local health worker told her, there's this training coming from Hands to Hearts, and it's just under the mango tree. It's free, come. And she did. And she learned about babies' brain development, which she never even thought about that being a thing before. And more interestingly, she learned that she could influence that. And then she was a little bit horrified because she learned that her baby was learning language before she spoke. So she ran home to her house and was like, oh my God, we have to clean up the language in this house? So after the training, she realized that she was the most important person in her child's life. She was the first teacher. School was going to happen years later, but she could influence the most important and the earliest brain development now. So she was talking to her now. She was taking her places. She was counting things with her. Everything changed, and it was so simple. She now recognized the baby's crying as communication. The baby was hungry or tired. She wasn't just a naughty baby, and she wasn't being difficult. So everything changed. Another example is in Uganda, in the post-conflict setting. Over 14,000 moms, dads, and health workers participated in our training. The outcomes measured 18 months later were that parents had tripled their language interactions with their child each day. They doubled their cognitive interactions each day. And then there were things we didn't even know to measure. They stopped corporal punishment. They stopped domestic violence. That's what is possible when people wake up to their own power. The opportunity we have now is that in the last 10 years, I've been doing this mostly by myself with a team, a small team, and we trained 43,000 moms, dads, and caregivers around the world. And now we've merged with Thrive Networks. So what's possible with this project is we have access to this massive network of caregivers and trainers already established in India. We can train 50,000 women in the next 2 years. And just for context, I looked that up as like, where's an analogy for 50,000 people? That's a ton of people. That is the Stanford Stadium, sold out. And then, because I know there's some Berkeley people here as well, let's fill that stadium with the children that they're going to impact, which is almost 50,000. Children happy, healthy, and ready to embrace life and be their full possibility. So we got this Stanford Stadium full, we got the Berkeley Stadium full. That's what is possible from this new project. Thank you very much. Questions? Yeah, so I've been working in India for a long time because that's where the opportunity presented itself. The opportunity with Thrive Networks is they have a partner there that works extensively through women's self-help groups. There's over 100 million women in India that meet on a regular basis via these small savings and loans groups. And Thrive's partner in India works in the eastern region, and they work in this very rural area, and they provide already trainings on reproductive rights and female hygiene and birth control, et cetera, already is existing. So to add Enhanced Hearts education to that model that's already there, we have to hire one full-time new staff member. Everyone else is already in place. Like it's incredible. So that's how. Anything else? It was crystal clear and fabulous. Okay.